We witnessed in the last election, let me say specifically in Delta State, what people generally described as a protest vote from the youth. You witnessed a clean sweep for the Labour Party in the national election, but the reverse was the case in the subnational election in Delta State. What went into that and what really transpired?
In Nigeria, a whole lot of leadership tussle and leadership crisis is already erupting on the people of the country, and they are really eager to have a sense of belonging. This, a practical aspect of governance that they are lacking from even the incumbent. So they really need a realistic governance, not the hanky-panky type. So as a result, the youth, which that controls majority of the votes, this time around said no, that we must come out en masse and do a protest vote to bring in somebody whom we believe in. So that was exactly what happened. Days have gone when it has to do with whatever the party brings, then people will just vote the person in. Who have decided to change the narrative that we must know the capacity or the ability of the person who is coming into the system, so as to ensure that the aim of electing such a person will not just be in vain.
What was the consideration? From all you have said, it looks more like a personality election, not just the party, but the reputation and integrity of the individuals at the ballot. What was the overriding perception that informed voting for Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party in the presidential election, and Right Honourable Sheriff Oborevwori of the People's Democratic Party at the gubernatorial election in Delta State?
Yes, in the presidential election per se, people wanted to change the concept of governance, as I said earlier, and as a result, in all the candidates, they felt they have more belief in delivering the dividend of democracy to the people. In Peter Obi, most importantly, the youths. That is why you saw the drive. In as much as there are other persons who are equally very okay on the race. In that presidential election in Delta State, for instance, people wanted, if not for anything, they knew that Okowa has the ability for a good leadership. Even if as is running as the vice presidential race, at the same time, there was an issue on ground. He lost. He lost not because people dislike him as a Okowa, or people did not like his principle, but they had some level of negligence as a party until the body that makes election happen, which is the political pressure groups, most importantly in Delta State. They neglected them and they didn't take care to understand their plight, because they control about 60–70% of the voters. So if they had done the needful by marrying them, taking them as one, listening to them, I don't think that what happened in that presidential election would have gone the way it went. It would have been a different ballgame. But that has come and gone. And it actually taught a lesson to an extent. But in a case where somebody who, have gotten experience from a lesson, you now do the needful. So as a result, in the governorship election, they had to do the needful. They brought in the political pressure groups alongside and realigned, and it worked. And not just that it worked, the candidate itself is a superman, is a man that people believe in. He's a man that is a practical politician. In fact, he's somebody that can tell you something and still keep it. You know, the day we went to see him, it was about living. I said, Your Excellency, we are here to say. He said, no, that our schedule have not come on his table. That he has other things ahead of him. You know, that is sincerity. You know, I saw that. I said, yes, it's okay. He said that we have to reschedule. I said, Your Excellency, no problem. He's aware. So we left because we had no schedule with him. As at that moment, our schedules have not gone to his table. But it's for that same day, you know. So you see, the kind of person he is made people to vote him in, and they believe in him, and the youth believe in him. So, and if he could understand the nomenclature, that means that the government is about to take charge now. He will enjoy it more than ever because the youth will always be there for him.
We understood that there were a lot of deals and negotiations with the pressure groups by the political parties in Delta State after the presidential elections. What was the selling point for the PDP and Right Honorable Sheriff Oborevwori that made it happen for him in Delta State?
Well, on that note, every other political party made move, apart from PDP making their move. Even Labour Party made their move. APC made their move. SDP made their move. Among other political parties, even NMPP. So they all made their moves. But you know, in a case where you have a party that you believe in, a party that you have confidence in, which is the PDP that we worked for, we have that confidence that the candidate they brought is credible. And he has the capacity to lead the state to a better level. As a matter of fact, there is this continuity spirit that we, as people, we saw in him. Unlike some people, though he will equally demonstrate it, and we will see it. Unlike some other persons that when they come into power, they will leave or abandon, the existing projects or dream of the state or the party without finishing it. And that will always bring setback to development strides. So in the case of Sheriff Oborevwori, who is the practical governor-elect, in no distant days, a few days to come, he will become the executive governor of Delta State, and he will demonstrate that character of leadership that we, the people, will believe that he can.
We've seen visuals of your interface with some politicians in Delta State. We've seen your interface with the deputy governor-elect. We've seen your interface with the Delta South senatorial candidate and the senior power broker for PDP in Delta State, Honorable Michael Diden Ejele. How much of influence did these politicians exert on the pressure groups that made it happen for PDP in Delta State?
Coming to that, persons like Monday Nyeme, of course, is somebody who is loved by the people. So as a result of that, his personality also contributed to the victory of the party for the governor election. And the interface we had with him gave us a voice that we believe that those things that we discuss, that if elections is being delivered, or that victory is delivered for PDP, that better things will turn up for Delta State, not just practically we as a pressure group, because we believe in the victory of all, and that of Michael Diden, popularly known as Ejele. Of course, he's a powerful politician. He's a man of his words. That is why we, the pressure group, practically the DYC, we are so confident that we are with him. As a matter of fact, if he says he will do this, he will do. So because of that, we had a practical interaction with him, and that practical assessment make him to understand what we can do. He gave us a task that is so heavy, but at the same time we're able to deliver accordingly, among others.
I know there is this natural inclination to manage information, but what were the promises made? What were the deals reached? How much of those promises have been kept? And ultimately, where do you stand on politicians' capacity to come good on their promises?
Okay, you see, during the election campaigns, a whole lot of promises were made through us, the Delta Youth Coalition, because even in our campaigns, sometimes we do midnight campaign and all that, you know. There are areas who don't even have transformer. Promises were made by the party that they will give them transformer, you know. In as much as those promises are not yet fulfilled, among other empowerment promises that were given to some persons that have not been fulfilled, we know that maybe, or practically, because a whole lot of process of inauguration and all that for the incoming government, you know, that actually distracted these campaign promises. But we believe on the incoming administration that they will take it up from there, because governance is all about continuity. So they will pick it up from there with our confidence, without letting the party down, because we should always know that end of an election year is the beginning of a new election process. So, and if that is done, or if that is understood, they should also know that 4 years is like 4 days. It will just come in a twinkle of an eye. And those people you neglected or you gave promises without fulfilling, you are still going to go back to them. And I am pleading, or rather suggesting, that the system of governance of the past should not repeat itself. I'm suggesting that if it's possible, there should be a town hall meeting from time to time, you know, using these same people, the pressure groups and other parastatals, to reach out to the grassroots people, so that we'll always have this synergy from time to time before the election year. Because when you always come to them after 4 years, they will see you as coming to take vote from them and not returning any dividend of democracy. And that is wrong. But if you're able to interact with these people from time to time, know what their problem is, if there is any promises made, you try to meet up to keep those promises, so that when next you come to meet them, they will not, you don't even need to overstress yourself. The stressing of election time is as a result of bad governance, or rather, promises not kept. That will stress you during the next election. But if you're able to keep promises, which I believe that it's nothing for government to keep promises, most importantly, what will affect the livelihood of the people, you know. So that is it.